Hey everybody, happy Sunday. I hope that wherever you are and whatever you are doing, you are safe and you are with someone you care about who also cares about you. It's been another week. I cannot believe it. We are basically at the end of August now. The temperature in the air is finally starting to peel off and, well, we're nearly going to be in harvest season. So tune in to the Chicken and Garden Update to have a look at what's been going on in my garden if that so interests you. And if it doesn't, that's totally okay. I want to talk to you today about an experience I had this past weekend that is inspired my Sunday musing today. And it ties in rather neatly to a piece of news that we covered in 10 not so long ago, namely that the Shell oil company has decided to rip out all of the former Volta level 2 charging stations. The company wants to focus instead on putting DC fast charging stations at its gas stations, and I have so many feels about that. I don't feel gas stations are necessarily always the safest place to be, even if it's fast charging. And in fact, of the multiple sort of half a dozen to a dozen times that I have used fast chargers located at gas stations, I've only really had a positive experience maybe once or twice, which isn't a very great ratio. And I know from experience that DC fast chargers tend to be more readily iced at gas stations because gas stations have limited parking, and very often people will pull in, they'll fill up with gas, and then they'll move somewhere else to go inside and pay or visit the restroom or whatever. And about 6 months ago, we were at a gas station charging because it was the only functional charging station in the area that we could actually visit, and there were 3 stalls. Only one of the charging stations was working, and while we were there, people were parking in front of and utilizing the spaces in front of the broken charging stations without, I think, having any cognition that they were broken. So as soon as we left, we saw someone pull in to that space in a gas car, blocking the charging station completely. And I personally think that's going to happen at these Shell stations. I think off the back of that, with my cynical hat on, that is what Shell wants. And, you know, you can then turn around and say nobody is using these charging stations, conveniently forgetting that they are always iced. Maybe I'm just overreacting, but the topic of today's video is, have you ever gone to a charging station and given up? What makes you give up when you go to a charging station? Are there particular networks that you just do not go to because it's just too much of a quote-unquote faff to use? We have some family friends in town at the moment, and they are staying out at the coast. And so last weekend, my wife and I went out to spend some time with them, and we went to a tourist attraction where there were, I think, 6 charging stations, level 2 charging stations, which is fine. We were going to be there for like 3 hours. It gave us enough charge to make it back home without having to stop at a fast charger. Perfect, right? The perfect solution to, that mid-distance trip is to have destination chargers where you are going so you can stop and charge, so that when you leave, you've probably got enough range to get back home without needing to stop and take up a space on a fast charger that would otherwise be useful to someone who's actually making a long-distance trip. So we stopped. We were there in an EV. We had a friend there in a plug-in hybrid. We both wanted to charge. And let's just say the process of signing up for the app, downloading the app, verifying who you were with the app, giving them your firstborn child, your social security number, I'm joking now, arranging a lien on your home in case you didn't pay, all of that. And I'm not joking about the time, I'm joking about the setup procedure and how truly convoluted it was. All of that process took about 15 minutes. And my wife was going through the process. Now, she did some of that in the vehicle while we were driving to the location. So she wasn't stood there for 15 minutes trying to sign up. She was trying to sign up on the way there. And when we got there, there was maybe 5 to 10 minutes where she just couldn't get the sign in. It sent her a password. She didn't get it through her email, all of that stuff. And I remembered at the last minute, oh, maybe I do have an account, looked through my phone, and I did have an account and I was able to start charging. Our friend who was with us didn't have an account, and we ended up sharing the Wi-Fi from my vehicle with them because the local cell phone reception was terrible, so that they could then create an account, sign in, and start charging. Now, I'm not going to lie, we were both at the point of, what's the point? And I looked around the parking lot for this particular attraction, and there were a good dozen or so EVs in the parking lot. None of them were using the charging station, and I'm going to hazard a guess that some of them were not using it because of that ridiculously convoluted sign-up process. And so today I want you to tell me, are there networks that you think are just there for show because signing up to use them is just horrible? And I'm going to name and shame. It was the OpConnect charging network that we were trying to use. It's gone through multiple names and iterations and been purchased and whatnot many times in the 10 years that I've lived here in the US. And it gets to a point where you're like, this is too much hassle. And then, of course, people then use data from networks like that to highlight that nobody is charging, nobody wants to charge. And of course, the really reliable charging stations are usually the ones that are free vend, the ones that don't require an account to sign up, or maybe they're just left and abandoned, and maybe people don't bother using them because they think they need a smart app or an account when they don't. So I want you to name and shame. I want you to tell me the networks that you just don't bother going to because it's a faff. I'm not talking about reliability so much as I need to sign up for a new app every 6 months because they keep rebranding, or it's difficult to initiate a charging session because the hardware is really clunky and the scanner doesn't always work. I want to know, because I think official tests and official data on charging tends to focus on fast charging. And with the removal of the Shell low power level 2 charging stations, 2,000 of them across the US are just going to be basically ripped out of the ground. They're not even allowing companies and people the chance to adopt them, which I think would be the smart option. Nope, they're going to be ripped out and taken away. And that saddens me, not only because it removes accessible charging for people who don't need fast charging, maybe who live in apartment complexes and just need a couple of hours of charging every night to enable them to go about their daily use. I know people who live in apartment complexes who drive their car somewhere, park it out for 2 hours, and then they're good for the rest of the week. That is going to be removed by Shell and other companies focusing on DC fast charging. But it also kind of completely ignores cars like the early Nissan Leafs, some of which don't have fast charging, the early Chevrolet Bolts, some of which don't have fast charging, the early Chevy Spark EVs, some of which don't have fast charging, the same for the Ford Focus EV, the same for the Smart Car EV, the same for so many of those early, what we would now call limited range, but at the time, like highway capable is how we referred to them, limited range EVs that live and breathe on the level 2 charging network. And if those level 2 chargers now become so onerous to use, how can we expect EVs to trickle down and become usable for other people in communities around the world? If we are focusing on fast charging and supercharging and flashy new, there's so many vehicles that are effectively being end-of-lifed by the removal of these charging networks. Even things like my Vectrex VX1, right? My Vectrex VX1 is not going to have DC fast charging. It's never had DC fast charging because its battery pack doesn't operate at DC fast charging specs. So my battery pack in my Vectrex VX1 will have a nominal voltage of about 158 volts, which is well below what CCS or supercharging supports. And so I have to rely on that level 2 charging. There are many electric motorbikes on the market today that do not have fast charging. Zero on a lot of its bikes still doesn't have fast charging. And while there are other motorcycle companies coming along with DC fast charging as an option, level 2 charging is important. So name and shame the companies that make networks that are just so onerous to use when really it's just a level 2 charging station and it shouldn't require a doctorate in communication technology to initiate charging. Let me know in the down below. As you can probably tell, I'm a little bit ticked off by my experience. We were able to charge, we were able to make it home, and we had like 20% left in the battery when we made it back. So we wouldn't have run out. But yeah, share and shame. I'll see you this time next week. Thanks for joining me today, and if you've got thoughts, make sure you leave them in our Discord chat room, on our Patreon page, down below, on our blog, or you can reach out to us on Mastodon or Blue Sky. Thanks to the amazing list of people scrolling by on your screen right now. They are part of the massive community of supporters who make this channel possible, helping us through Patreon and YouTube, covering our bills, paying our team, and helping us to remain 100% independent. If you'd like to join them and see your name listed here, just follow the link below. We've got options available across a wide range of different price points from just $1.50 US a month. A massive welcome to our newest supporters: M. Wessie, Les Magnar, MX Flounder, NYTMR, Thrill Nelly, Hernan Giraldo, Christopher Bloodworth, Eric Rouvier, Ronnie E. Bickers Jr., Brett Mason, George Piney, Mega XLR, Robert Coghill, Peter Bodica, Gary Wood, Dessa Bird Traveller, Tim van der Loong, Mike Clark, Kyle Olin, Rob Hutchinson, Tony Ladig, Chris Nichols, Tempest, Adrian Atwater, Doug Lloyd, Mitch Rasner, and Brad. To join the list and get your shout out, become a paid Patreon member for your moment of fame, and you can even gift membership to someone else. If you'd like to support us with a one-off donation, you'll find links below to make Ko-fi and Bitcoin donations, and we even have an old-fashioned PO box you can reach us at. Address on our website. You'll also find links to our swag store, and if you're someone who has to shop on Amazon, please consider using our affiliate link so we get the commission, not Jeff Bezos. So we can continue to focus on making our content even better and reduce burnout, we are being a little freer with our release days, but plan on dropping new content every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday on our main channel, plus something on Sunday over on TE Take 2. If you want more, the mighty algorithm that hates us thinks you should be watching this video, but we think this one is one you should also check out. Be awesome, be kind, be intentional, and don't forget to resist. Keep evolving.